assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, goedemorgen.
Pakheragele, ni hao, Junishumbe, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimes, Guten Morgan, Ola, Hamboyor, Privyet, Kaifahal, Halishuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasalan, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabi up, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside the most fantastic, the most amazing, the most lovable ladies and gentlemen, Miss Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing absolutely great. Thank you so much for asking, and probably doing it even better after the introduction I just got. Thank you so much, you're too kind. How was yesterday? But by the way, thank you so much for covering the show, and we had, of course, a substitute for me as well. I'm thankful to Rida too. Unfortunately, so here's the thing, Shahzad, I really need to talk about this,
sure, go
right?
ahead.
So I think you and I have been speaking about this ever since the pandemic began, and even before it came to Pakistan, that this is something serious. It is going to get to us, and we do not need to wait for it to get to us to realize how actually threatening and severe it is.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, people very close to me did contract the virus, and they're not. I mean, of course, they're not very healthy now. They're pretty weak, and they're not having a good time dealing with the disease as well. But here's the thing, I mean, of course, I think at this very point, all we can do is, because it's a quarantine situation too, all we can do is pray for them, yes. But on your individual part, please, ladies and gentlemen, be responsible. Yes, of course, wearing masks is one thing, but Shahzad, you know, you get invited to a wedding party, you make sure you want to go to it, regardless of the fact that maybe someone there is a carrier, or maybe you are a carrier, or, you know, you just relentlessly choose to go to markets or parks or whatnot. This is the time you have to put a stop to it. Again, I know this has happened before, but ladies and gentlemen, please, it is happening. Just make sure it doesn't get to that large scale where it was before.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Shiza, for saying that out loud as well. And I hope that, you know, for all of those people who are actually suffering from COVID, get well as soon as possible as well. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's a personal thing. It's just about being disciplined. I mean, rather than thinking about having a free meal over a shadi or a mendi, I think it's better to be at home rather than being in quarantine, thinking about a disease which you know for sure that has no probably vaccine to it.
No
so
medication.
So I think everybody needs to do this as well, because in our household, alhamdulillah, we're glad that, you know, my mother and my father was actually safe as well. But other than them, you know, each and every sibling got it as well. And now, you know, when we are actually witnessing the second wave, every now and then I'm texting my mother and my father as well, please make sure that you guys don't go out. If you go out, follow all the SOPs. And it is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you think, you know, God forbid, if you have to go through a lot of suffering, don't you think that it's better to just stay back at home, you know, wait for another month or 2 months where we have waited for another, you know, for a longer period of 4 or 5 months where we have seen that people were getting COVID as well, and there's a spike in the numbers. So it's better to be safe. And if there's anything I can assist you guys with, you know, Shiza, please let me know. And for everybody who's out there, since I've been through COVID myself and I know how the situation is, because the energy is gone, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
You know, you're short of breath, you're lazy, and then you're moody as well. That you're all by yourself, you're all alone, your body's aching, and you want people to be around you. And this is how humans, I think Allah has designed humans.
Absolutely.
And we want company, and you know, just for a day when you're all by yourself and when you're sick and when you have temperature, and you come to think about the disease which you've contracted has no vaccine to it, and there's no treatment readily available, which people say that it's going to be 100% work for you as well. So I think we probably need to take all this SOPs under consideration and make sure that, you know, we follow them. And for all of those people who are suffering through it, get well soon.
Yes, Shahzad, you know, actually you did give me some sort of idea. What we can do is every other morning, because you've been through it, I want to say, you have developed the antibodies for it now, and inshallah, it's not going to happen again. But since you have faced it, maybe each and every single day we can give out a personal tip or something that is 100% sure going to help you to sort of, you know, recover through it. Because ladies and gentlemen, you know, we do realize that all the people who are in quarantine have, well, the only sort of entertainment that they do have, if they do stick to quarantine, is television or internet or laptop for that matter.
Or cell phones.
Exactly, cell phones. So if you are watching us, we would love to be of help and probably will give out tips to
So number one tip, ladies and gentlemen, is since you're in your room or probably in your house and there's nobody allowed who can actually come in, so there are people who are going to give you food and plates and whatnot, so you obviously have to separate your culinary equipment as well. So please make sure that you do that. And the one most important thing which actually kept me going was looking forward to another day. And how I
Okay.
did that was probably because I wouldn't recommend for anybody out there to actually exercise or do something, because it takes away all the energy. So you really
Really?
need to
Okay.
have that energy within you as well. And to look forward, what to look forward to is something, probably reading a book. And if you're not reading a book, and if you're not habitual of reading books, what you can do is look forward to cleaning the room the next day, and take a selfie every day and see whether you're getting better or not.
That's a good idea.
And believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, for those 14 days or 18 days I spent in my room, my color tone actually changed from this to being milky white as well. So I was like, okay, this is what's
It's
going to
all
happen as
good.
well. So yeah, just look forward to another activity. This is tip one.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, I'll ask you for another one tomorrow as well,
Yeah,
inshallah. But I have sort of a different question for you,
sure.
Shazad. So, what do you think? Is America going to be great again, or is the real soul of America going to be restored?
Well, okay, this is a very simple answer, and I think that the rest of the world knows it as well, that America is going to be great again as well,
Oh,
and
we
America
hope
has
not, but
always
yeah.
been great, and I think it is relatively important for us to know that Americans have always made sure that when it comes down to their country, that there will not be any element which is actually going to dismantle the very democracy. It's one of those democratic nations, ladies and
Absolutely.
gentlemen, where the democratic process started back in 1787.
Imagine that.
And imagine that when a president actually comes in, we're very likely to know, or we're sure about it, that the president or the gentleman is actually going to get a second term as well. And people believe in it. People believe in the vision as well. But America, ladies and gentlemen, is just one night away from the elections. Probably it's 11 something over there in US. It's nighttime as well. And yeah, we're talking about US elections happening probably today for us and
Right.
tomorrow for them.
Exactly, we're
Yeah.
ahead of them. But we will definitely get the results at our hand tomorrow,
Yeah.
inshallah. But here's the thing, why are we discussing this at our morning show? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is a well-established fact. Well, the world order does hold America in a very important position. We all do know that. And my beginning statement was sort of, well, the two slogans for both of the contenders
Yeah.
right now. We all know that Donald Trump has been, the now president, of course, has been going after making America great again. We'll get to that. Did you do that? But Joe Biden, of course, competing against him and being the opponent, he says that we need to restore the real soul of America that was tarnished over the last period, the term that Trump was serving.
Yeah.
But that's what politics is, right? So from what I understand, Shazad, you feel like, of course, Trump is going to sweep win. Is he?
Yeah, I
Yeah?
think I have a likability for Trump, and there's a reason behind that as well. And this is my personal observation, ladies and
Okay.
gentlemen, that, for example, when we talk about Obama, or for example, if we talk about Bush, or for example, I think these two particular presidents as well, ladies and gentlemen, what I wanted to share over here was that what I've witnessed is that, for all of those previous presidents, these two presidents, what they did was that they were intercepting different regions all over the world, and since their arms industry is a private industry over here, what they do is that, God forbid, when they're intercepting other regions, they make sure that there's a lot of arms trading going on, and which actually brings billions of dollars into their economy, and that's how
Okay.
Americans are happy that they're getting rich every day. But with Trump, I think I've witnessed that he's actually making sure that there's peace in the region, there's more manufacturing, there's more employment, and there are several other issues which I think Trump has handled very well. And talking about it, I know that you have to add to it as well,
Yeah.
but what the polls say is that Joe
Okay.
Biden is actually 8 points ahead of Mr. Trump, and this is something which last time people were saying about Hillary and Trump as well, and
Right,
eventually
so we
Trump came
can't
out
really.
victorious. But amidst COVID, I think it's going to be a bigger challenge.
So here's the thing, while I do get where you're coming from, the perspective, I get it. We will actually, hold someone online as well to talk about, on telephone line, I mean, to talk about the elections as well. But here's the thing, Shazad, when you talk about the things that, of course, you like about Trump's
Yeah,
era, which
yeah.
are, well, of course, each to his own opinion. I just think like he didn't happen to be a war president, right?
All right,
He
yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
ones that you're talking about before, for Obama for that matter, or Bush for that matter, they were war presidents. They had to face it. And well, as ugly as war is, it is a market.
Yeah.
So while you're in that era, you definitely have to produce enough or probably sell enough to run that market, one.
Exactly.
So if you say, okay, Trump didn't do that, I just feel like the billions that he dedicated to establishing a space force, what was that? Isn't that sort of, overspending under the name of weapons and whatnot?
Yeah.
This is just my opinion. Again, everyone entitled to their own opinion
But
too.
I have a very interesting question for you. So now, Shiza, the question I have for you, yes, we're going to take him online. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a guest whom we're going to actually take online. Mr. Producer, please hold it for 1 minute.
Yes.
Because I have a very interesting question which I wanted to ask Shiza, and that is, so we've seen that, no president can actually take more than 2 terms, right?
Okay.
Can you actually name a president who's actually taken 3 terms in a row?
For America?
Yeah?
Who did?
Roosevelt. Mr. Roosevelt, ladies and
I didn't
gentlemen,
know
took three
that.
terms because it
Sorry.
was World War as well then, back at that time. So yeah, they went on with that process. But for all of those people, for all of our viewers who are out there, ladies and gentlemen, every state has their electorals, and then people go vote for those electorals as well, and then from electorals, their representatives, and the first person to actually reach out to 278 electoral votes, ladies and gentlemen, is the first person to be appointed as the President of the United States of America. Right
All
now, we're very
right.
lucky that we've actually been joined by a Democrat, even though that we are very likely to see a Republican winning the
Probably.
winning as a president again as well. We very lucky that we've actually been joined by Mr. Rizwan Ahmed. Hello, Mr. Rizwan. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Shazad, thank you so much again having me in your show.
Thank you
It's
very much.
probably night time over there, but thank you so much for being able to join us because, well, we have a lot of questions to throw your way.
Yeah. So, Mr.
Ever,
Rizwan, getting started with the conversation, what I wanted to ask was, obviously, since you're a Democrat, obviously you won't be saying anything positive about Republicans. But what I want to know is, who is America going to vote for tomorrow?
well, I'm Democrat, and I would say, Democrats should win this time. We use what Trump has done so far. I mean, like last 4 or 5 years, and people are fed up here. COVID-19, he mishandled. So people are so frustrated here, and people are just even independents. We are actually focusing on independent, and this time independent vote for Democrat, and we are going to win tomorrow, inshallah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I do agree with you. And of course, the world has been seeing how badly the COVID-19 situation was mishandled in America. And I don't know if you were listening just a while ago, we were talking about how Trump did not get to be a war president. But I think this is where he sort of wanted to, push his, I want to say, boundaries as well. The COVID-19 situation, he took it as a war onto himself, right? But he was in continuous denial, which is why this was the largest economic recession America went into after the World War II. This is insane to look at. And again, this is coming from a president, the third president in the living history of the US to be impeached. So, well, listening to you, it does sort of seem like Democrats might be winning tomorrow. But again, the white American is super
Yeah.
loyal to Republicans. I mean, what do you think is going to happen with them? Are they going to change their mind after the COVID situation?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I must say that yes, 17 original states of America, up states, they all actually Trump's areas, 17 states. And they have their, hardliners and they're like diehard voters. And, Trump actually very popular in those states. And, but still, the way the situation is, 30 million people in America, they are jobless. This is a history in America. First time, 30 million people out of job. I mean, poverty are raising here. I mean, it's like chaotic situation right now we are facing, and this is the first time in America that we have this type of situation. And now, because of Trump, we have this. Even he said that even I am not going to accept the the result of the election. I mean, we have never heard in American history that president, sitting president or incumbent, they said, you know what, I am not going to accept the election result. That's, kind of very sad. And we see here maybe some kind of, rights or something can be happen if he doesn't accept the result because Democrat going to win tomorrow.
All right, this is something which we will leave to tomorrow as well.
Right.
But Mr. Rizwan, what I wanted to ask you is that there's been a longer debate about how people are going to go and vote as well amidst COVID, where people are talking about postal ballots as well. So how is the process going to take place? A lot of people have casted their vote through post as well. So how are you looking forward to go and vote as well? Please make sure that you let us know about the entire system, how it's working, and how are people going to vote this time around amidst COVID.
Good thing
And
is,
adding to
Shazad,
that, so
98 million Americans have voted already, early voting. 98 million. And this will be the biggest turnout of American election history. Biggest turnout so far.
all right, Rizwan sir, so I'm not sure if you can hear me correctly. Here's the thing, adding to Shazad's question over here. I was reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there are different laws for different states to practice voting, right?
Yeah.
Why is that so, and why does it have to happen on all different days as well?
See, I quite didn't understand your question. Can you please repeat again?
So there are different laws for each states to practice voting. Is it true? If so, why is that so? Since shouldn't it be the same all over the country?
See, in this election so far, there is no separate laws or different laws in various states in America. But, there is only one policy is that early voting, all 52 states have early voting and, and tomorrow voting. That's it. We have early voting by mail and tomorrow voting. Early voting has stopped already yesterday. And now tomorrow we have last day for election.
That makes sense. But here's the thing now I guess let's get to the larger or the bigger debate over here,
Just
Shazad.
very quickly before you move on to that, what I wanted to ask was, so are we going to get the results by tomorrow? Or because people have actually casted their votes through mail as well, so obviously it's going to take a lot of time till the time the votes are actually going to come in and they're going to get counted as well. And there's been, this news all over the news as well that, there might be chances of a rigged election in US this time around because that's how it looks like.
Yes, Shazad, because due to, mail by, voting and all that, because a lot of people mail it. So I don't think they're going to announce election tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I would say it's probably takes 6 to 7 days to get to the election result.
Okay, so we'll have to wait that long.
Right.
All right,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
no
you can go on.
problem.
So the first person to actually reach the 278 electoral votes is the one who's actually appointed as the president. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Okay, so again, now coming back to the larger debate over here. So whoever wins for that matter, the two candidates that we do have over here, Trump does has, of course, a fair advantage because he did serve a term as the president. So experience matters, let's just say that. On the other hand, Joe Biden is running for the third time to become a president, right? The last two times he dropped out for reasons that are, well, funny, but let's just stay political over here. So no experience, but great experience at being a sidekick, having all the bureaucratic connections, having a great communication skill to actually, develop relations with other countries as well. So, well, to potential people we're looking at. But we cannot ignore the fact that whatever the implications of the result will be, they will be global. So what, if we're looking at the world order after these elections, what do you think it will be if one wins or the other?
Yeah. Good question.
See, first of all, let me say this, that if, God forbid, Trump wins again, that would be his crooked way. I mean, the way Trump is, he doesn't want to accept the election result. And if he wins it, it will be huge impact, especially in South Asia, as you know, where India, Pakistan, and the other countries are located at. So, and China. So, I mean, it's not going to be good news for rest of the world if Trump wins the election.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry that I actually intercepted in between as well, but I wanted to know, you particularly named South Asia. Why do you think that there'll be a major impact on South Asia?
You see, recently, India and India and America have signed an agreement. I don't remember the name of that agreement, but recently signed. Mike Esper and Pompeo went there to India, and they signed some, the military, agreement or something. Before the election, just week before the election, that would clearly states that something is cooking behind it.
Well, that does make sense, but that is because of the shared ideology of the two leaders of the
Yeah.
states. And well, India and America do usually have a better relationship than we do with Americans. Let's be honest over here. We have had a wobbly one. Well, we're good with them right now. But okay, let's talk about the region then, because you wanted to, or let's talk about Pakistan particularly. So here's the thing. In the beginning of the term, Trump was blatantly talking against Pakistan in his speeches, right, and calling us all sorts of bad things.
And then
Where
eventually
we
it
were
got
continuously,
better.
yeah, where we were continuously fighting against terrorism, and he kept pushing us back into it, sort of, degrading or discarding all the efforts that we were having. And then he met with Imran Khan Sahib, and he had quite a sweet discussion where he even offered to mediate between in the
Yeah.
Kashmir issue. So while he is, yes, bipolar, what do you think is going to be the implications on Pakistan if Biden wins, for that matter? And then let's talk about Trump.
Okay, if Biden wins, as you might have heard, what Kamala Harris said, that very positive in his speech and his statements, very positive thing about Kashmir and Pakistan. So we are hoping if Biden wins, that would be good for Pakistan and Pakistani, situation, because Democrat usually lean towards Pakistan as compared to Republican. So I would say it will be good news if Biden wins. And as far as Trump is concerned, Trump mood swings. Sometimes he is just chatting with Imran Khan, is saying good words about Pakistan, good thing about Pakistan, that Pakistan helped them out in Afghanistan to get them out from there. And here we go. Now he takes a 90-degree angle turn and say negative word about Pakistan. So Trump moods always swing and he's unpredictable.
Rizwan bhai, I'm really sorry, and I'm going to apologize for this as well. But since you're a Democrat yourself, I think that the conversation already is very biased, and we would have loved to actually have a Republican on call as well, so so that we can actually have views from both the parties as well. But other than you being a Democrat, just let alone that fact that you're a Democrat, just as a person, who do you think is
American.
a people's person? Is it Joe Biden or is it Donald Trump?
See, this is a very hard question, and I would say uh, Trump is business friendly person. Stock market in America, they are praying that Trump wins again. You know, all business people, all business, like, American stock market, you know, the biggest in the world, they are praying for Trump. They know if Joe Biden wins, he will raise the taxes, right? So I would say business people, they are huge sympathy for Trump, but common people, immigrants, they want Joe Biden, and blacks, Hispanic minorities.
This
Exactly.
is what actually I was going to talk about. So, after the George Floyd situation,
Yeah.
especially, well, of course, we all know that ever since the term for Trump began, he did set a anti-immigrant tone, right? And everyone who was non-native or who was non-white was feeling left out because of the decisions or because of the laws that Trump was
He even
making.
called the coronavirus the Chinese virus as
Yeah,
well.
for that matter. But here's the thing, while it does not affect us that much, for all the people living inside America, for let it be Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, Jews for that matter, anyone who's non-white American for that matter, is not being treated the same way that they should be, right? So here's the thing, I mean, if we are looking at another Trump term, are all these people going to be happy? First of all, are they expecting something to come out of it? Because this is not a small number, it's not a negligible number. They're probably even more than the white supremacists living over there.
See, the thing is, if Trump wins again, and he knows that it's going to be his last term, then he will do more and more immigration, tougher for immigrants and rest of the people that they are not documented in America. I think over 1 million people is still waiting for legalize here. So I think they will have no hope if Trump wins again, because he wants to, he already promised in his campaign that he will strict more immigration laws once he wins it, and he will actually do whatever he can do against immigrants, because he hates immigrants. So in immigrants, he's a highest unpopular president, and Black Life Matters. Blacks hates him. Um, but the thing is, like I said again, 17 states, up 17 states. That's where his vote banks are. And if he wins from there, that's going to be bad news for everybody.
Rizwan bhai, it's wonderful, but there's one last thing which I wanted to ask, and that is that for a president who's actually given a relief budget of $2 trillion to all of those people across all of those 49 or 50 states as well, don't you think that they might have actually changed the mindset of all of those people from different states where Trump wasn't really very popular? But imagine getting an ATM card in the mailbox and having $1,200 in your account will actually make you in fact, help you change your mind as well. So don't you think that this relief budget amidst COVID might have changed a lot of people's mind?
See, good question, Shazad. Thing is, I myself received many times $1,200. Plus, it's something called SBA loan. I mean, my accountant, I mean, he has all my information, and he applied for it. I got $70,000 in paycheck for a small business and something like that. Few of my friends, they got 500,000. Someone got $300,000. That's very true. But thing is, it would have been same thing if any other president would be in White House. He would have done the same thing, $2 trillion or $3 trillion, and it's not like something he paid from his pocket. That was the people's money. So people understand very well. Any other president would say.
Okay, I think we're losing him, Mr. Rizwan Ahmed. I think there's been a technical difficulty with the hearing as well. But thank you so much for joining us, actually. This was a productive discussion, I want to say. We actually got a lot of insight into the US elections that are going to be happening today. But we will, like Rizwan Sab said, probably get hold of the results in 6 days or something, right?
Yes.
Because of the situation going on as well. So, well, here's the thing right now. I think we're heading out to a very short break. But when we do come back, we're going to move back to our own country and not talk about just the West, but we'll talk about things that can actually improve our own country in terms of so many things. What it will be, stay tuned to find out. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PTV while you watching World This Morning alongside Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Earlier, ladies and gentlemen, we were actually in conversation with Mr. Rizwan Ahmed, who actually happened to be a Democrat. He's actually even tried to get elected into elections as well, but he unfortunately couldn't do so.
In the
But
US,
in
to
the US,
mention.
obviously, since he's a Democrat,
Right.
that's what I said as well. But thank you very much for making the audience understand it better as well. But ladies and gentlemen, whoever wins, we hope that the entire region or the entire world, because it's going to have a larger impact on all of
Absolutely.
those countries who are in affiliation with the United States or who share a bond or relations, either good or bad. So it's going to impact the entire world. It's going to impact the economy of the entire world
Yes.
itself, which is something we cannot actually look away from. But I think it's about time that we actually look inside our own houses, whether do we have the greenhouse effect or not, or whether we are actually moving in the right direction. Because every now and then we do see that this particular incumbent government is actually focusing on making sure that that whatever we can do in our capacity to stop or probably reduce the ratio or the rate with which the climate change is increasing, even though Pakistan is naturally not one of those countries which are adding to a lot of climate change, ladies and gentlemen,
Carbon
but it is
emissions.
the seventh most vulnerable country when it comes down to climate change.
Absolutely. So without further ado, I think since we're really short on time, we actually have a perfect panel of guests over here in the studio to discuss about this particular thing. And Shazad will be introducing them
Yes,
because
so ladies and gentlemen, first up, he happens to be a social activist, looks amazing in a blue suit over here. He is Mr. Hassan Abdullah. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Good morning. How are you?
Absolutely
Thank you.
perfect, and thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful
Thank
to
you.
have you alongside Mr. Hassan Abdullah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the founder of Green Squad, and he is Mr. Fahad Rizwan. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, she actually tried a little, very hard to be on time, but she couldn't do it. But finally, she's over here in the studios with us. She's a social activist herself as well. She is Miss Rida Rashid. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. Hassan, where are we in terms of climate change? Let's get started.
As you know, climate change is all about जो हमारे पास जो issues हैं इस time के climate change is directly linked to food, water, and security issues. And we are facing the issues of global warming right now, and all over the world we are fighting
It's getting
with.
colder these days, though.
it's because of global warming.
Yeah.
So we are fighting a war against the climate change. So as we know, the government are taking the initiative, although it's not the full initiative or like this. We have to take more initiative like
Right.
this. Government is taking only one initiative like billion tree tsunami, and that is really helping.
But we have actually made sure that in Islamabad nobody is going to use plastic bags as well.
There's so
There's a
many
ban on plastic, and I think there is a lot of other things which are going on as well.
Absolutely,
Exactly.
but why don't you let us know about Green Squad in particular? What was like the purpose of establishing this thing on the first hand, and then, well, what are the activities that you guys are doing?
I think
and
that
making
this is a question we really need to ask Mr. Fahad as well, because he's the founder of Green
All
Squad.
right.
So yeah, Fahad, please let us know
the
about
same
Green Squad.
question.
Well, we are doing a lot of things for last couple of years, and the ambition and the aim of establishing Green Squad was to bring the community in to this activism.
Oh, okay.
Because we have seen that in the past few years, in fact, for past few decades, it's the government which is taking the lead, and it is the government institutes which often comes forward, and they have the lead in the narrative building.
All right.
So, but I was not able to see its impact, because when I used to walk on the street, on the lane, the sun used to literally give me blisters on my feet, and it's really painful for us to walk in summers. And I used to wonder that if they have planted so many trees, then why won't we have shade here?
Right. Why is it still so hot?
Yes. Why is it so hot? So I just started planting shade trees along, and I just start sharing my content on social media, and that's how a lot of people joined us to. And when you are doing such sort of activity, then government come forward and they said, well, who are you and what's your ambition, from where you have been funded? And I said, well, I'm no one.
Okay.
I'm just a common citizen of this country, a rather poor one from very humble background, and we are doing it like from our own pocket, and like we call for donations and these sort of things. So they assisted us a lot. The CDA, the PHA, the military, they have assisted us a lot.
Okay.
And that's how we started. And you see, as time passed along, a lot of people start joining us. And that's how we start planting trees along the roads. But now we are doing a lot of things, like apart from planting trees, we are launching campaigns for plastic-free country, and you see campaigning to get the plastic ban, not just in Islamabad but throughout the country. And again, you see we have a number of, you see, plethora of legislations and these sort of things, but there is no implementation on the ground. So
But
we
do you think, sorry, just
go
a
ahead.
small thing to add over here, but you've come so far along, mashallah, you've been doing a great job. But do you think through the entire process you felt that it is literally the public that is at fault?
I think public is at fault, but you see, it is the state which has not given them an insight in their educational institutes. We have not been provided with sort of a platform, sort of a background where we could get ourselves ecologically sensitive about our environment.
So you say, okay, there should have been educational,
Yes,
of course.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. And before we talk about that, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a lot of amazing pictures from the Green Squad as well, and what they've actually been doing over the years. But I think what is more important for us is to ask now. I think, and I want the nation to actually be on this as well and learn and be more aware about it. Now, do you think that only planting trees will actually help us control climate change, or there needs to be other activities? For example, plastic ban is one. But what are those other activities which will help us? Because everybody is just going out there, planting trees, coming back home, okay, climate change sorted. I don't think that it's going to work like that.
You are
Is it enough though?
No, it's really not enough, and
Okay.
it will not work, because you see that planting tree is just a symbolic act. You have in this country industries which are, you see, emitting carbon emissions. We are in this. We are planting 1 billion trees in Pakistan. We are achieving the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations.
Yes.
But on the other hand, we are on the second number in the global list, where we are having this logging thing.
Yeah.
So at one side you are planting trees,
On
and
the
then
other side
at
you're
the
cutting
other
them.
you are cutting the grown-up trees.
Of course.
And you see that we still have around 2 or 3% of our area covered with forest. It's supposed to be covered with around 25%. And then we are planting trees, and we have this coal emitting power plants being constructed in Throuth. We are presenting ourselves as the champions of leading this crusade against climate change, and then we have just, you see, literally thrown away our islands and the forest to these development sectors, where they are just ruining the whole ecology and environment.
Absolutely.
So this is a dichotomy at the state end. So public can play its role, but at the end of the day, it's the state which needs to bring this legislation and make the REIT enabled, and then come up with some sort of a inclusive and sustainable sort of a development, not just elitist oriented development.
I do agree with you, and yes, I think you're right in where you spoke about implementation, because when we're talking about plastic bags being banned, if it can be practiced so strictly in the federal capital Islamabad, why not in different cities as well?
Exactly.
So I think this is where implementation comes in. But quickly moving on to Rida over here. Rida, you've been a part of the squad as well. You're a social activist, mashallah. So you let me know, what are some of the things that come to your mind? Because I want to listen to a youth perspective over here. You get it? So what are some of the things like banning plastic bags that we can put into action right away? Look at our industries. I mean, when we're going to Rawalpindi, there's a paint factory. And if you cross that paint factory, it's hazardous. It is absolutely hazardous. Look at the vehicles that we're using. So what are some of the things we can improve?
I mean, I think and there's one more realization I've just had, and that is that, just when you're about to enter Lahore, from motorway, and the kind of, God forbid, smell of chemicals comes into your car.
You can't simply breathe.
Yes, you cannot actually breathe. So imagine where we're headed. But yes, Rida, what do you have?
Okay,
to say?
so basically, I founded Impact a year ago, and I'm 17, and we have been doing the same work through it. And I think we need to take certain steps to reduce the effects of climate change. It's not just banning plastic bags or planting trees. We need to reduce the effects, the emissions, carbon emissions.
How?
Basically.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, so there are many ways to do that, and we can do it individually too.
Yeah.
I guess by using less energy at home, or using renewable energy more,
Yeah,
and
hope we had
introducing more renewable energy in our country, because we can make more energy through the water we have, through the glaciers we have. So we have many other ways,
Okay.
and we need to, pursue and make sure
Yes.
that we are doing that.
I think it's great that you've actually touched upon this as well,
Yep.
but we're not contributor, talking about carbon emissions as well. I think we're very low in the index as well. So, probably moving on to electric cars as well, renewable
Yeah.
energy, that's one source.
That's one thing.
But for a country which is not actually a contributor at all, I don't think that this is something which we should actually be focusing on. Obviously, it's a thing which we really need to cover. But other than that, there needs to be some real-time things which we need to talk about. For example, when we talk about individuals, obviously, making sure that all of your appliances, ladies and gentlemen, are going to work on that, using less CFCs as well. I think that these are the ways which we really need to move forward. But there's one more thing which I think is very important, and that is how to actually make sure that for all of those people who are the major contributors, to stop them or to actually be like, yaar bhai bas kar do, please, the world needs to be a safer and a happier place for the future generations. So how do you think that we're going to do that? Because they do not even comply to the protocols.
I guess individually we need to realize that there will be no irreversible change after 10 years, and we need to act, because I myself started this because I think that I'm the future generation, and I have people, the kids around me,
When
they are
I
the
think
future
about myself
generation,
as future generation.
and we will be affected by climate change.
Yeah.
So individually we need to take steps at home. When we go out, we don't need to throw garbage outside, and these small steps contribute to the big crisis we are facing.
Exactly, that's true. Katra katra hi jo hai, wo samundar banta hai. But coming back to Mr. Hassan Abdullah over here, I think that you've heard the conversation. And the question is the same: that how do we actually make sure that there's international pressure onto all of those countries who are major contributors? And for that matter, even US is actually a major contributor to that.
Yeah,
And
largest.
Trump continues to be so as well. That's how he wishes for it as well. But collectively, I think the world needs to know this. There was this film which I watched, and it said that people were living in 2060 or 2080, and they actually had to wear masks when they actually had to step outside of their houses, and it's because of the fact that it was all toxic gas all around them, and they couldn't actually step outside, so people were confined into their houses. But by the end of the day, it is us who made sure that that the world is going to be the way it is right now. How do you think that smaller lifestyle changes can actually bring about a bigger change all over the world?
Also
All
make
over
this
the-
your closing note, okay? Give out a message
Okay.
to everyone.
So on individual level, we can make our we can change our lifestyle. We have to change our total lifestyle, like littering is the basic use, wastage of water,
Okay.
and some other thing, like we have to educate. The basic thing is we have to educate our kids. As
Future
Rida said, we have to make our generation that they have to follow our footsteps. We have the parents have to take initiatives in their homes, like kitchen gardenings, like wastage of water, like saving of electricity. These are the basic things that we can save our ozone layer,
Yes,
and
you're
like
right.
this. So as on individual level, we can take that type of initiative, and like Green Squad and Impact are doing this, so people can join this type of organization and do the same thing on individual level.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that does make sense. And yes, thank you so much for this conversation that we had today. And best of luck for your future endeavors. You guys are actually the agents of, green change for that
Yeah,
matter.
green change for that
You
matter
are
as
doing
well.
an amazing job as well.
Thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation with such amazing, talented people who actually think about the country, not just their country, in fact, the rest of the world as well. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you definitely did take away something from our conversation. It was our initiative to make sure that people have a better understanding that not just planting trees will actually help us stop or control climate change. There has to be a
Right.
lot of other measures which needs to be taken under consideration.
Absolutely.
And yes, I think that it is an alarming sign for the authorities who are out there that one way, on the one side of the picture, we are telling people that we are planting billion trees. On the other side, we're on second number in the list of the most logging taking place within the South Asian country as well. So I think this is something which is very alarming. We
It
really
is.
need to make sure that we do that. And there are a lot of people who've actually recently joined Tiger Force. I think one of the Tiger Force's unit actually needs to be somewhere where they're actually looking for people who are into logging or into smuggling of the wood. And everybody knows that there's another industry which is working.
Timber
There's a lot
mafia.
of, yeah, and there's a lot of people involved in it as well. So I think we just need to be vigilant. Even people like
Absolutely.
Green Squad, people like you, really need to be vigilant out there. And if there's something which you see is very fishy, probably to get back to authorities and just let them know that, hey, you know what, this is happening, we need to stop that, if we are actually willing to make sure that we're going to contribute towards making sure that the climate change is not going to be towards the negative pole, all right? So we need to bring it towards the positive one.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you learned anything from us, do let us know. And also, if you have any, well, speculations about the US elections that are going to be happening today, and then eventually we're going to get the results,
going
do
to
let
win,
us
I
know
think.
as well. You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see that. I don't know though. It's not a good sign if he does win. That's my belief. But well, I'm sitting on the stage channel. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you have any speculations, yes, and if you have any questions on how you can probably make Pakistan greener, you can write to us on our Facebook page to let us know or ask us. And we are on Facebook with the name of,
World This Morning, it'll be on your television. It is on your television screens down below.
yes, on Twitter,
On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G.
on YouTube.
On YouTube, it's World This Morning once again.
Absolutely. And the repeat of this show you can
The
catch.
repeat of this show, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch at 5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good
Good
morning. Have a
morning.
great day, everybody.
Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you.